Beef Wellington is one of the most famous dishes in the world.
Beef Wellington has to be the ultimate indulgence, one of my all-time favourite main courses, and it would definitely be on my last supper menu.
But it's also one of the most intimidating.
Put it down. Stop. Stop. Why have you cut these? Why? I'm busting my ass off here trying to help you, but you're not fucking listening. I turn my back and then cut.
It's expensive, complicated, and takes hours to make. So the real question is it actually worth it?
You really think you can make this? You don't even know how to cook.
Why does that matter?
You're a cooking channel.
So the other day I was getting a haircut when something caught my eye. I looked up at the TV in the shop and saw none other than Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, wow.
My barber goes,
Yo, what in the world is that? That shit looks crazy.
and that's when it hit me. I had to make this for my next video. There was only one problem. I had absolutely no idea what a beef Wellington even was. So I did what any professional chef would do. And that's when I accidentally discovered this. Is beef Wellington worth making?
Hell no.
Why not?
Takes so much effort, but yes.
It's pretty expensive to make right now.
So being the master chef I am, I decided I was gonna find out for myself. So first things first, we needed to gather all the ingredients, which included eggs, prosciutto, puff pastry, mushroom, and beef tenderloin. And due to my extensive background in cooking, I had no idea how much of a problem this one ingredient was gonna be. And it wasn't just one problem, there were two. I went to my local grocery store and they didn't have anything. So I grabbed one of the butchers from the back and asked for a whole beef tenderloin. And both of them looked at me like I had just asked for a live cow. They basically told me to go kick rocks. After doing some soul searching, I realized I didn't actually need a whole tenderloin, just a center cut. So I found a local butcher shop, and guess what? They actually had one. So I placed an order and went to pick it up the next day. And that's when I saw the price, $101. I looked at the price, looked at the cashier, internally died, and then swiped my card. $100 for this? This better change my life. So now that we had all the ingredients, it was finally time to make this thing. How exactly do we make this thing? Ah, Jesus Christ.
How to make Beef Wellington. Follow these step-by-step instructions and you'll make the best Beef Wellington you've ever had.
Why is he
You'll
talking
need-
like that? Alright, so now that we knew how to make this bad boy, it was time to make this bad boy. And I know what you're thinking, Kat, why does the meat look like that? Listen man, I had to defrost it, and at some point the package opened while I was soaking in water. So now the meat is basically a sponge. But that's besides the point, because now we had reached problem number 2. And I didn't realize how much of a pain this was gonna be. This piece of meat was the size of a newborn child. I literally had to cut like a quarter of it because it was just too big. But eventually, we got it down to the perfect size, right? So the next step was seasoning the meat. And since we're working with the surface area of a football field, we needed to season this thing pretty generously. And lucky for me, unlucky for my wallet, I was able to take that leftover chunk and turn it into mini fillets. So at least my $100 mistake came with a consolation prize. From here, it was time to get the pan ripping hot with some olive oil. And once that oil started smoking, I threw on the 2-month-old. Next up, after trying to decipher my own notes, it was time to brush the steak with Dijon mustard.
Cat, Dijon mustard wasn't on your ingredients list.
Shut up. So I plated the tenderloin and began brushing. Apparently this helps with flavor or something, and from here is where I found out why some folks were complaining so hard. Creating the duxelles, whatever that's called, the mushroom mixture. You guys know what I mean. I'll admit, I had absolutely no idea how to make these, but I did see this 2-second clip of Gordon Ramsay doing it.
And blitz.
So naturally, I figured I could just wing it. What an idiot. So I grabbed some mushrooms, removed the stems, and threw them in a blender. And that's when I discovered something important. There is a very big difference between a blender and a food processor. They look pretty similar, right? Well, they're not. He broke the fucking blender. Are we serious right now? Alright, get him another one. This kid cannot be serious. So after fighting with this thing for over 5 minutes, I gave up and just chopped everything by hand, which honestly I probably should have done in the first place. Then I threw the mushrooms in a pan to cook them down and dry them out. And according to the internet, this part is actually really important. Now, not a single recipe calls for doing this, so I don't know where this intrusive thought came from, but I decided to add some red wine. If things weren't going south already, just know it's about to get a whole lot worse. And if you have any sort of cooking skill, just click off the video now before I do permanent damage to your soul, because now it's time to wrap the tenderloin. The first layer is prosciutto, followed by the mushroom mixture, all laid out on a plastic wrap. Once that's ready, you place the tenderloin on top and start rolling. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm working with a 5-pound brick, but Gordon Ramsay's plastic wrap looked way bigger than mine.
Nice and carefully.
And somehow a lot stronger. It also didn't help that this thing was so big I couldn't even cover it properly.
What the hell is even that?
But after some engineering and a concerning amount of sadness, I finally got it wrapped, and it was time to throw it in the fridge for 5 minutes. Now it was time for layer 2, the puff pastry. The first thing we had to do was roll it out. So I went to grab my rolling pin. I don't have a rolling pin, so I improvised with this can. So I improvised again with this wine bottle from earlier. See, I knew it was speaking to me. The goal here was to roll the dough out long enough to cover the tenderloin. So once we finally got it big enough, we wrapped it and sealed up the sides. Pro tip here, you can actually use flour to stop the dough from sticking to everything, which would have been helpful information about 10 minutes earlier. And yes, I also forgot the egg wash on the inner layers, but we're not going to talk about that. So once everything was wrapped up, it was time to chill it for about 15 minutes. From here, things actually went pretty smoothly. We mixed some eggs together, unwrapped the little guy, and started painting. And now we reached the most important step, the design.
caso ci metteremo delle foglioline fatte di pasta sfoglia, editiamo un po' di fleur de sel,
And if you weren't impressed already, this is where I really showed out. And finally, after all that work, it was time to put it in the oven, 400 degrees, for about 30 to 40 minutes. And we're about to find out if I just wasted $100.
I'm in danger!
So the wait was finally over, and it was time to see how this all turned out. Could this have been a waste of money? Yes. Could this taste like complete garbage? Yes. Could this entire video be a waste of your time? Also yes. But see, in life, it's not always about the destination. As many would say, it's about the journey. Sometimes we get so focused on the end result, working day after day trying to reach something bigger, that we forget to appreciate the journey that got us there. The lessons learned, the struggles, the growth, because life isn't just about the destination. It's about enjoying the moment you're in right now. Oh shit. Well, that's not good. Alright, hold on. Let me fix this. Okay, that's much better. And now for the ultimate test, the center cut. Okay, that actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, the bottom is definitely way too soggy, but the inside looks like it cooked pretty well. Never mind. God damn.